Ma'a. I was just checking how to say good afternoon in Ghana. Apparently, there are 70 languages in Ghana, so I don't think I'm going to remember all of them. But at least I remember one of them, right? Uh-huh. Go. All right. Now it's time for quiz, I think. Let's see if you all heard what Amrish was talking about just now. Who can tell me what tools Amrish used in order to do his analysis? Raise your hand. Nobody listen? Okay, you're not, not for you, Jean-Baptiste. Okay. Uh-huh. Good, thank you. You listen. Well done. You can give some present to Amrish. Anyway, enough for the jokes. Hello, everyone. It's great to be here. My first time in Ghana. So in today's presentation, I'm going to talk about how we use RIPE Atlas, how RIPE Atlas hosts, like people like you, all over the world who host RIPE Atlas, play an important role in helping keeping the network resilience and monitor the performance of the internet. And this is about an analysis that one of our colleagues did based on RIPE Atlas data. If Amrish just mentioned about a use case that shows how a new deployment of submarine cable improved the performance. This time, I'm going to talk about slightly different, if I can, if I can take control of this clicker. Okay, so this talk is about comparing two classes of submarine cable outages. This use case, like the first one is about the one in Baltic Sea outage. This happened last year. It may sound a bit old, but this use case is still valid. We can still learn from it. And so from this Baltic Sea outage, we learn that the network was quite resilient. This is what we observe, and it has low impact. I'm just going to give you a short summary about what I'm going to talk to you about. I'm going to talk about it in detail later. And what we also notice in the Baltic Sea outage is that there's enough redundancy, and we have enough vantage point, which make it easier for us to see what happened. The other use case that we have seen is the one that happened in Ivory Coast and also in the Red Sea outage that happened last month. So this is a bit slightly different. In this case, we observe that the internet resilience is actually not guaranteed, and it has higher impact on the user. And the impact is having increase in the latency and also some packet loss. I'm going to go through this in detail after this. So, short introduction, my name is Lia Estina. I work for the RIPE NCC, and RIPE NCC, for those of you who don't know what RIPE NCC is, RIPE NCC is one of the 5 internet registry. Our region is in Europe, Middle East, and and Central Asia. So next to being a registry at the RIPE NCC, we build cool tools to measure the internet. One of these tools is RIPE Atlas. There's also what we call Routing Information Service and some DNS services like KRoot and Authoritative DNS. So this talk is based on 2 articles that our colleague has written about the Baltic Sea outage that happened last year. There's also a podcast that you can listen to. Emil explained his findings in detail in this podcast. I highly recommend you to listen to the podcast from Emil. This is Emil, my dear colleague. He's the data scientist. He's the brain behind this analysis. And later, at the end of this presentation, in case you have very technical question that I wouldn't be able to answer, I will be happy to connect you to him. So, last year, when this Baltic Sea outage happened, there were a lot of media coverage. There were some speculations, there were some theories flying around, but I just want to make it clear where RIPE NCC stands. So in this kind of situation, RIPE NCC, we stay neutral. We do not make any speculations. We do not play simulations. What we care about when this kind of things happen, what kind of impact it has on the internet, what kind of impact it has on the user. So here's another example of article that you can read from The Guardian that walk you through in detail about what happened with the Baltic Sea outage. And now let's go into the timeline of what happened. So this happened last year, right? It was on the 17th of November, a sunny day, I guess. No, it must be cold, I think, in November. So the BCS East-West cable that runs from Sweden to Lithuania, it was reported went down. And the next day, another one was reported down. That was the Sea Lion 1. And Sea Lion 1 runs from Germany to Finland. So these two cables, they were restored within 10 days. So you can imagine, 10 days is quite fast, right? And then only on the 25th of December, the Sea Lion was reported down again. It was restored on the 6th of January. And after that, there was a third cable that was reported down. That was the LVRTC. And this cable was restored within 32 days. So that's quite a while. So where do we go from here? At the RIPE NCC, normally we always go to the RIPE Atlas, of course, because that's our, RIPE Atlas is an internet measurement platform. It's a global network of probes that are connected in many networks out there in the world. And right now we have more than 13,000 probes or vantage point, you can call that, around the world. And we also have what we call RIPE Atlas anchors. So RIPE Atlas anchor is also a probe, but it's a much more powerful probe. It's a superpower probe. I'm going to talk about RIPE Atlas anchor in detail after this slide. And this map shows where the probes are located, so the deployment. People like Ambrish use the data from RIPE Atlas to do analysis and research. My role here is making sure that the deployment of RIPE Atlas increase and diverse around the world. So working with communities, with you people, in order to have more deployment. Just to give you an idea of what RIPE Atlas does on a regular basis, there are around, well, approximately more than 35,000 measurements on a daily basis. This is including both measurements that user created themselves and also the built-in measurements. So now let's talk about RIPE Atlas Anchor. So RIPE Atlas Anchor is the data that we are using, that my colleague Emil Aben used in order to build this analysis. What makes RIPE Atlas Anchor special? So we have around 900 anchors right now connected around the world, right? So each and every anchors run measurements towards each other every 4 minutes. So it runs ping, traceroute, and also DNS measurement. So it runs some performance measurements. So you can imagine there's a bunch of data. With this data, you will be able to spot any latency change. If there's an incident like a submarine cable outage somewhere, you will be able to see from RIPE Atlas anchoring mesh. We call it anchoring mesh data. Of course, only if we have vantage point in that area. So going back to the submarine cable on the Baltic Sea outage, so when this thing happened, it affected 4 countries, right? And the good thing is that from this, in these 4 countries, we have enough vantage points. We have enough Riperless anchors connected there. And that's why we were able to get some meaningful data from it. Okay, let's take a look at what we see in the data. So Emil took the data 12 hours prior to the incident and 12 hours after the incident. So in this heat chart, I was going to say heat map, it's heat chart. So on the y-axis on the left, this is a pair of anchor. So remember I told you that we were using anchors that we have in Sweden and Lithuania. So each pair is shown here, and the pale color, so the pale color show the normal latency, like the happy latency. The orange color shows the increase in the latency. So the darker the orange, the higher the latency. And the black line, it shows the packet loss. So now we can see clearly that during, this is the event when it happens, 8 a.m. in the morning. Well, 8 a.m. is always in the morning. On the 17th of November, there's clearly a shift in the latency, and it's around 10 to 20 milliseconds. So remember that, that's around 10 to 20 milliseconds. But what we are, the interesting part here is not this one. Let's take a look at a closer on the top chart, which is this. So we did see an increase, right, in the latency. But what we see here is the packet loss. So based on this picture, the increase in the latency is not followed by a concurrent packet loss. So it means that the packet was still delivered, so it goes through, which is good. Here's another example that happened the next day on the Sea Lion 1. It's a similar situation. We've seen an increase in the latency, but the good thing, it's not followed by packet loss. And this is the time when the Sea Lion 1 was being repaired. We do see something a bit, out of place. I don't know what you call that. This is something, right before it was reported that it was repaired, there's a jump in the latency, which is followed by the packet loss. It's just that for us, it's unclear of what it is, because we only show what we see in the data that we have. So we don't know what it is. This is just the data that we have. We only measure on layer 3 level, no layer 2 magic. So summing up, there was indeed relatively minor but visible shift in the latency of around 20 to 30% of the paths that we observe from the anchors that we have. But there's no concurrent increase in the packet loss, which is good. It means that the internet routed around the damage. It did what it was meant to do. Here's another example. I'm not going to go through this one, but let me show you another example. So we have seen one example about that the internet was quite resilient in the Baltic Sea outage, but Emil would like to see not only on the latency data, but also on the traceroute data. How was the internet rerouted? Let's see. Ooh. Okay. I'm trying to click further. Yeah. Am I going? No. So this is his observation. After looking at the data that we have, his observation was that he found that there are 3 levels of rerouting. So the first one is the between domain rerouting. It means that the traffic was rerouted through another domain and through an IXP. And then the second one is the intra-domain rerouting. This is still using within the same network, so it's like there's a backup path that it's taking. And the last one is the circuit level rerouting. So this one is using an alternative physical links, still using the same routers and the same IP address, even with the same IP address. And that was based on the paths that we observed. So out of the 2,141 paths between the anchors that we have observed in Germany and Finland, there are 637 of the paths was using interdomain rerouting, and we only see around 25% of the paths saw latency increase of more than 3 milliseconds. So it's not much. And then there are 1,044 paths that use intra-domain rerouting, and this is affecting 38% of the paths that saw an increase in the latency of more than 3 milliseconds. And the last one is using the circuit level. There were only 460 paths, and 5.2% of those paths saw increase in the latency of more than 3 milliseconds. Now we've seen one example. Let's take a look at another example. This everyone knows this happened last year. That happened in Ivory Coast, and it affected 4 major submarine cables. And if you take a look at the map, this is the map where the submarine cables connection shown, and also the location of RIPE Atlas anchor. So we don't have that many RIPE Atlas anchors connected in Africa, and that's also the reason why I'm here. So this is another, a different look, a different visualization of what we've seen before. There's a lot going on here. We've seen right after the incident, there's a significant increase in the latency, which is around 20 to 30 milliseconds. But what is shown here is the packet loss. It's followed by packet loss. And then this is the recent one. This is from the Red Sea outage that happened last month. So we have pretty good vantage point, pretty good coverage. We use the one that we have in India and also the one in France. As you can see, where it happens in the red area, and where the cable starts and where it ends. So we use the anchor pairs that we have in France and India. And here we see clearly, right after when it happens, there's a significant increase in the latency, which is around 100 milliseconds. This is quite a lot. It means that the user really feel the impact in this incident. And if you take a look at the heat map on top, it's the packet loss is quite high. So it's up to 50% of packet loss at the time of the initial cable outage, and it's followed within the next 24 hours after that. So that's quite a lot. So, and the conclusion, let's talk about the conclusion. What does all this rerouting tells us, right? If we take a look at it from the bigger picture, the internet did route around the damage, but being able to see what happened and understand what's going on, it requires a global collaboration. It requires shared data and deployment of vantage point. Because without this vantage point, it means that we don't have visibility. We don't have measurements running. And if we don't have visibility, then we don't know what we measure, right? Then it will be just guesswork. So if you look at it from the network operator point of view, it's a reminder for all of us that redundancy works. We have seen in this analysis that traffic gets routed across networks, between networks, and even at circuit level. And then if you take a look at it if you're an infrastructure planner, for example, it shows that redundancy works. That when you build, the infrastructure, you need to have a multiple level of backups. You can't just rely on one providers it needs to be, redundancy works. You need to have redundancy. Yesterday, one of the speaker from the minister said that when you want to build an infrastructure in Ghana, one of the requirements was building. You need to have redundancy in the route, right? So that's a very good thing. And because when the last one that I want to mention here is if you are a decision maker, it shows the importance of having infrastructure diversity and also measurement platform is important. We have seen from this analysis that regions and countries with good visibility and diverse paths and diverse routes has less impact when something went down or something happened, has less disruption. So, and how far can we see? We want to have more deployment. We need to have more deployment so that we can see, so that everyone can benefit from it and work together to improve. With this kind of data, we have seen the presentation of Amrish just now, the impact of, laying down a new submarine cable. And because we have this data, we're able to spot where is the best place to put the data, or to put the submarine cable. And this is what my colleague created to help us map where would be the best place to put all these anchors. So the ideal situation would be making this table all green. How do we do that? The goal is to have in each country, we have 5 anchors distributed in 3 ASN and 3 cities at least. That's the bare minimum so that we have enough vantage point to make a more meaningful data. Do you think we can do that in Ghana? We only have, down below it's Ghana, we only have 1 anchor. Anyone will be able to, to install RapidLoss anchor in Ghana? Raise your hand. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, so we will have 4 after this. Thank you. All right, so yeah, this is just to let you know what makes RapidLoss stand out. RapidLoss has a global reach. It's not just cloud server. We also have vantage point, the tiny devices that, RapidLoss ambassador like Jean-Baptiste, Cedric distributed among you. They are put in end-user network, in schools, in offices, so that not only you have a vantage point from core network, but also how your customer reaches your network or any network that you are interested to monitor or to measure. It has, you can run your own measurement, of course, and it's community different, vendor neutral, it's fully transparent. You don't have to you don't have to invest a lot of money in it. Well, you don't need to invest any money on it. You just need to spend time on it and install the probes. It's a fair use. We are using a credits model to protect the system and to make it fair for everyone. we only measure the level 3 only. So, and if you're interested to see the infrastructure of RIPE Atlas, the user will never talk to the probe directly. It will always go through first the web user interface or the API. If you're more, if you prefer to use API or CLI tool. So whenever someone wants to create a measurement, they will talk to the web interface, API or CLI tool, and it will talk to our controller, and then the controller will tell the probes to run the measurement that you want to run, and the probe will start running the measurement and report back the result to the controller, and with the same initial method to you. This is to make it easy for you to see the difference between the tiny probes, which is also available as a software, and also the RIPE Atlas Anchor, which is available as a VM. And if you're going to host a RIPE Atlas Anchor VM, this is the network requirements. And I'm showing also the application process so that you have a bit of idea where you're at when you apply to host a RIPE Atlas Anchor. I'm at the end of my presentation.